U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, praying their, quote, circle of trust as they pushed forward the U.S. brokered Gaza peace plan. While progress is being made, tensions remain high as Hamas terrorists reportedly plan to intensify killing opponents. And that makes it appear that Hamas has no intention of letting go of control over Gaza, which would violate terms of the ceasefire agreement. Joining me now is Washington Stand reporter Casey Harper, who's been following today's main developments. Casey, Vice President J.D. Vance made some interesting comments on his way out of Israel regarding Judea and Samaria. What did he exactly say?
Yeah, Tony, the vice president raised eyebrows when he said that President Trump is against Israel annexing Judea and Samaria, also called the West Bank. He even went on to call a recent Israeli vote to do just that, the annexation. He called it a, quote, stupid political stunt while in Israel. Now, that bill passed an initial vote, but has no support from the Israeli prime minister's party.
If it was a political stunt, it was a very stupid political stunt, and I personally take some insult to it. The West Bank is not going to be annexed by Israel. The policy of the Trump administration is that the West Bank will not be annexed by Israel. That will continue to be our policy. And if people want to take symbolic votes, they can do that. But we certainly weren't happy about it.
Well, Vance argues annexation could hurt the fragile Gaza ceasefire. And this all comes as Secretary of State Marco Rubio and other officials are in Israel right now to help shore up what you were right to call a shaky peace effort. Now, for now, Tony, the ceasefire is holding, but Israel is continuing to accuse Hamas terrorists of violations every day, Tony.
Well, like I said on yesterday's program, my advice to Israel is annex while they can. Former Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann is going to join us later to weigh in on this story. This is extremely important because we're talking about Judea and Samaria, which is the heartland of Israel. And as I said, we'll talk about that more with Michelle Bachmann. All right, Casey, President Trump appears to be employing stronger economic tools to end the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, that's right, Tony. So the U.S., they slapped new sanctions on Russia's top oil companies, Rosneft and Lukoil, which the president's been unwilling to do up until now. Now, this is supposed to, of course, help weaken funding for the ongoing war in Ukraine. And these sanctions come as Russia, they're only ratcheting up pressure. In fact, they actually held major military drills involving nuclear-capable missiles. Now, the sanctions follow the sudden cancellation of that promised summit between Trump and Putin in Budapest. That's now not going to happen because the president said the meeting didn't feel right.
They're massive sanctions, and sanctions on oil. The two biggest oil companies, among the biggest in the world, but they're Russian. They do a lot of oil. And hopefully it'll push, hopefully he'll become reasonable, and hopefully Zelensky will be reasonable too. You know, it takes two to tango, as they say, and we're going to find out.
It's worth noting, Tony, that the president does have an upcoming meeting with China's President Xi Jinping, and Trump hopes that he can get Beijing to pressure Russia to stop the fighting.
Thanks, Casey. Let's shift gears very quickly to the debate over the government shutdown. As you mentioned, the national debt has now topped $38 trillion amid the ongoing federal government shutdown, marking the fastest debt growth since the COVID-19 pandemic. Just in the last 2 months, we've added $1 trillion to the debt. So where do things stand now with the shutdown?
Well, sorry to disappoint you, Tony, but Senator Schumer has no plans to change what's going on right now. No deal appears to be in sight. The Senate failed earlier today to pass 2 bills to even just pay federal workers during the shutdown until they figure this out. Both parties, as you might expect, are blaming each other, but thousands of federal employees are the ones missing their paychecks. So Republicans put forward a plan to pay those who are still working, which is the one that Democrats blocked today. But Democrats, they pushed forward their own version of a bill to pay everyone, but Republicans objected, saying it was rewarding inaction.
Military families have turned to food banks in unprecedented numbers. And things are about to get worse. The nutrition assistance programs that millions of Americans depend on to feed their families are in jeopardy. And tomorrow, federal workers will miss a full paycheck because of the Democrat shutdown.
As of today, the second longest government shutdown in U.S. history is on day 23, Tony.
All right, Casey, thanks for the update on today's top news stories. Always appreciate the insight.